Why motivation is a trap, the Stoic alternative to feeling inspired. You wake up. You check your phone. You scroll through videos of people who seem to have it figured out. They are energized. They are passionate. They are motivated. And you are not. You feel the gap between their fire and your fatigue. You tell yourself you will start when you feel inspired. When the energy returns. When motivation strikes. But it does not strike. Or when it does, it leaves just as quickly. And you are left with plans unexecuted, goals abandoned, and a growing sense that something is wrong with you. That you lack what others have. That you are broken in some fundamental way that no amount of self-help can fix. What if I told you that the entire concept of motivation is a trap? That the most productive, creative, and successful people in history did not rely on feeling inspired? That they built systems, practices, and philosophies specifically to bypass the need for motivation entirely? That the very word motivation, as we use it today, is a modern invention designed to sell you products, not to help you achieve? This is not hyperbole. This is history. This is psychology. This is the Stoic alternative that has been hiding in plain sight for 2,000 years. The year is 1948. The place is the laboratory of psychologist B.F. Skinner at Harvard University. Skinner is studying behavior. He puts rats in boxes. He gives them levers. He discovers that behavior followed by reward increases, and behavior followed by punishment decreases. This seems obvious. But Skinner makes a critical leap. He suggests that all human behavior can be explained this way. That we are essentially sophisticated rats, responding to external stimuli, seeking pleasure, avoiding pain. This becomes the foundation of behaviorism, which dominates psychology for decades and influences everything from education to advertising to self-help. The self-help industry, born in the 1950s and exploding in the 1980s, takes this framework and sells it back to us as empowerment. You need motivation. You need inspiration. You need to feel good to do good. Tony Robbins stands on stage and fires people up. Zig Ziglar tells you that motivation is like bathing, you need it daily. And they are not wrong about the effect. They are wrong about the cause. The surge you feel at a seminar, the inspiration from a video, the energy from a quote, these are real phenomena. But they are not sustainable sources of action. They are sugar rushes. And when the crash comes, you are worse off than before. Because now you have proof that you cannot sustain what others seem to maintain effortlessly. The trap works like this. You encounter a stimulus that promises pleasure or threatens pain. A video of someone successful. A deadline approaching. A critical comment. Your brain releases dopamine in anticipation. You feel motivated. You act. But dopamine is not designed for sustained effort. It is designed for pursuit, not capture. For anticipation, not maintenance. The moment you begin the work, dopamine begins to drop. The motivation fades. The task becomes harder. You check your phone for another hit. You seek another video. You wait for the feeling to return. It does not. Or if it does, it is weaker than before. Tolerance builds. You need more stimulation for the same response. This is not discipline. This is addiction. Marcus Aurelius, writing in his tent during military campaigns, never once mentions motivation. Not because he was always energized. His journals reveal exhaustion, doubt, and desire to stay in bed. He mentions these specifically. At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work as a human being. Notice what he does not say. He does not say, find your passion. He does not say, wait for inspiration. He does not say, visualize success and feel the energy flow. He says, tell yourself. This is an act of will, not an act of feeling. This is a command, not a response. This is the Stoic alternative, in a single sentence. Action precedes feeling. Not the other way around. The Stoics had a word for this. Prohairesis. The faculty of choice. The power to assent or dissent to impressions. The capacity to decide independently of external circumstances or internal states. Epictetus, born a slave, made this the center of his philosophy. He taught that between stimulus and response, between event and reaction, between the alarm clock and getting up, there is a space. And in that space is our power. Not our motivation. Not our energy. Not our inspiration. Our choice. Our will. Our proheresis. This is what the self-help industry cannot sell you. Because it is already yours. It requires no purchase. Only practice. Modern neuroscience confirms what Epictetus taught. The prefrontal cortex, the seat of executive function, can override the limbic system, the seat of emotion and motivation. But this override is not automatic. It is a skill. It requires training. It strengthens with use and atrophies with neglect. Every time you act despite not feeling like it, you are not forcing yourself against your nature. You are exercising your nature. You are becoming more fully human. The person who waits for motivation is not being authentic. They are being lazy. Not lazy in action, but lazy in will. They are allowing the most primitive parts of their brain to command the most advanced. They are letting the rat run the laboratory. But here is where the suspense builds. If motivation is a trap, what is the alternative? If waiting for inspiration is a dead end, what is the path forward? The Stoics offer not a single technique but an entire architecture of action. It begins with the distinction between what is in our power and what is not. Motivation is not in our power. It comes and goes like the weather. Action is in our power. It can be chosen regardless of weather. This is the first pillar. The second pillar is the distinction between process and outcome. Motivation is attached to outcome. It depends on the promise of success, the vision of victory, the fantasy of completion. Discipline is attached to process. It depends only on the next step, the present moment, the immediate task. This is the second pillar. The third pillar is the distinction between identity and activity. Motivation asks you to become a certain kind of person, passionate, energized, inspired. Discipline asks you to perform certain actions, regardless of what kind of person you feel like. This is the third pillar. Together, these three pillars form what the Stoics called the discipline of action. Not the discipline of feeling good about action. Not the discipline of being inspired to act. The discipline of action itself. Clean. Precise. Independent of internal weather. And this discipline, once established, produces something unexpected. It produces motivation. But not the motivation of anticipation. The motivation of momentum. The motivation of identity formation. The motivation that comes from seeing yourself as someone who does what they say, who shows up regardless, who keeps promises to themselves. This motivation is not required to start. It is generated by starting. It is not the cause of action. It is the effect. This is the great reversal. The self-help industry tells you to find your why, to feel your motivation, to ignite your passion, and then to act. The Stoics tell you to act, regardless of feeling, and let the feeling follow. And modern psychology, particularly the research on cognitive dissonance and self-perception theory, confirms the Stoic approach. We do not act because we believe. We believe because we act. We do not follow through because we are committed. We become committed by following through. The identity of a disciplined person is not a prerequisite for discipline. It is a consequence of discipline. You become the person who does not need motivation by acting without motivation. But the trap runs deeper than individual psychology. The trap is cultural. We live in an attention economy that profits from our distraction. Social media platforms, content creators, and advertisers all benefit when you are seeking stimulation rather than doing the work. They sell you motivation because motivation keeps you scrolling. Discipline would set you free. Discipline would close the app. Discipline would make you immune to their manipulation. So they engineer their products to maximize intermittent reinforcement, to create the exact pattern of dopamine spikes and crashes that keeps you hooked. They are not evil. They are effective. And their effectiveness depends on your belief that you need to feel good to do good. The Stoics faced their own version of this trap. The ancient world had its own attention merchants. The arena, the theater, the gossip of the forum, the endless political drama of the empire. Marcus Aurelius specifically warns against these. The object of life is not to be on the side of the majority, but to escape finding oneself in the ranks of the insane. The insane, in his view, were those who lived according to external opinion, external stimulation, external motivation. Those who could not generate their own standards. Those who needed the crowd to tell them what to want. The Stoic project was, in part, a technology for maintaining autonomy in a world designed to steal it. So what does this look like in practice? It looks like the alarm going off and you getting up, not because you feel like it, but because you decided to yesterday. It looks like opening the document and writing one sentence, not because inspiration struck, but because the schedule says right now. It looks like having the difficult conversation, not because you feel courageous, but because it is the right thing to do, and waiting for courage means waiting forever. It looks like staying with the boring task until completion, not because you are passionate about it, but because completion itself is the value. Every one of these moments is a vote for the person you are becoming. A vote for discipline over motivation. A vote for freedom over manipulation. The suspense resolves in a paradox. The person who does not need motivation achieves more than the person who seeks it. The person who acts regardless of feeling ends up feeling better than the person who waits for good feelings. The person who gives up the search for passion discovers purpose. The person who accepts that life is often boring, difficult, and unrewarding finds moments of profound meaning precisely because they were not seeking them. This is the Stoic promise. Not that you will become superhuman, but that you will become fully human. Not that you will eliminate struggle, but that you will meet it with your full capacity. Not that you will feel good all the time, but that you will be good, regardless of feeling. And here is the final hook. The final reason to subscribe, to watch the next video, to commit to this path. The trap of motivation is not just about productivity. It is about existence. The person who waits to feel inspired before living is not living. They are waiting. And life does not wait. The years pass. The opportunities expire. The relationships atrophy. The potential dissipates. All while waiting for a feeling that was never necessary in the first place. The Stoic alternative is not a life of grim duty. It is a life of chosen action. Of deliberate engagement. Of showing up fully, regardless of weather. This is available to you. Not tomorrow. Not when you feel ready. Now. Always. It is the first question every Stoic asks. What is in my power? And the answer is always the same. This moment. This choice. This action. If this resonated, subscribe. This channel exists to bridge ancient wisdom with modern practice. To build unshakable minds for an unstable world. To help you escape the trap of motivation and discover the freedom of discipline. Next week, we explore specific practices for building this discipline in the moments when you least feel like it. The Stoic Emergency Kit for the Will. Rise as a Stoic.